came, so the Aliyah Capital report would be on the 8th. We weren't exactly obligated to watch, but it was unwise to miss it. Even aides, the homeless, the wandering, would find a store or a church where they could see the report, and with the selection coming up, the report was more than a semi-requirement. Everyone wanted to know what was happening in that department. "Do you think they'll announce the winners tonight?" May asked, stuffing mashed potatoes into her mouth. "No, dear. Everyone who's eligible still has 9 days to submit their applications. It'll probably be 2 more weeks until we know." Mom's voice was the calmest it had been in years. She was completely at ease, pleased to have gotten something she really wanted. "Aw, I can't stand the wait," May complained. She couldn't stand the wait. It was my name in the pot. "Your mother tells me you had quite a long wait in line." I was surprised Dad wanted in on this conversation. "Yeah," I said, "I wasn't expecting that many girls. I don't know why they were giving people 9 more days. I swear, everyone in the province has already gone in." Dad chuckled. "Did you have fun gauging the competition?" "Didn't bother," I said honestly. "I left that to Mom." She nodded in agreement. I did. I couldn't help it, but I think America looked good. Polished but natural." "You are so beautiful, honey. If they really are looking through instead of picking at random, you have an even better chance than I thought." "I don't know," I hedged. "There was that girl who had on so much red lipstick she looked like she was bleeding. Maybe the prince likes that kind of thing." Everyone laughed, and Mom and I continued to regale them with commentary on the outfits we'd noticed. May drank it all, and Jared just sat smiling between bites of dinner. Sometimes it was easy to forget that as long as Jared had been able to really understand the world around him, things had been stressful in our house. At 8, we all piled into the living room, Dad in his chair, May next to Mom on the couch with Jared on her lap, and me on the floor all stretched out, and turned the TV on to the public access channel. It was the one channel you didn't have to pay to have, so even the aides could get it on if they had the TV. The anthem played. Maybe it's silly, but I loved our national anthem. It was one of my favorite songs to sing. The picture of the royal family came into the view. Standing at a podium was King Clarkson, his advisors who had updates on infrastructure, and some environmental concerns were seated to one side, and the camera cut to show them. It looked like there would be several announcements tonight. On the left of the screen, the Queen and the Prince Maxon sat in their typical cluster of throne-like seats and elegant clothes. "Looking regal and important, there's your boyfriend named," May announced, and everyone laughed. I looked closely at Maxon. I guess he was handsome in his own way. Not at all like Aspen, though. His hair was a honey color and his eyes were brown. He kind of looked like summertime, which I guess was attractive to some people. His hair was cropped short and neatly done, and his gray suit was perfectly fitted to him. But he sat way too rigidly in his chair. He looked so uptight. His clean hair was too perfect, his tailored suit too crisp. He seemed more like a painting than a person. I almost felt bad for the girl who ended up with him. That would probably be the most boring life imaginable. I focused on his mother. She looked serene. She sat up in her chair too, but not in an icy way. I realized that unlike the King and Prince Maxon, she hadn't grown up in the palace. She was a celebrated daughter of Aliyah. She might have been someone like me. The King was already talking, but I had to know. "Mom," I whispered, trying not to distract Dad. "Yes." "The Queen, what was she? Her case, I mean." Mom smiled at my interest. A 4? A 4. She spent her formative years working in a factory or a shop, or maybe on a farm. I wondered about her life. Did she have a large family? She probably hadn't had to worry about food growing up. Were her friends jealous of her when she was chosen? If I had any really close friends, would they be jealous of me? That was stupid. I wasn't going to be picked. Instead, I focused on the king's words. Just this morning, another attack in New Asia rocked our bases. It had left our troops slightly outnumbered, but we are confident that with the fresh draft next month will come lifted morale, not to mention a swelling of fresh forces. I hated war. Unfortunately, we were a young country that had to protect itself against everyone. It wasn't likely this land would survive another invasion. After the king gave us an update on a recent raid on a rebel camp, the financial team updated us on the status of the debt, and the head of the infrastructure committee announced that in 2 years they were planning to start work on rebuilding several highways, some of which hadn't been touched since the Fourth World War. Finally, that last person, the master of events, came to the podium. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of Aaliyah. As you all know, notices to participate in this election were recently distributed in the mail. We have received the first count of submitted applications, and I am pleased to say that thousands of the beautiful women in Aaliyah have already placed their names in the lottery for this election. In the back corner, Maxon shifted a little in his seat. Was he sweating? On behalf of the royal family, I would like to thank you for your enthusiasm and patriotism. With any luck, by the new year, we will be celebrating the engagement of our beloved Prince Maxon to an enchanting, talented, and intelligent daughter of Aaliyah. The few advisors sitting there applauded. Maxon smiled but looked uncomfortable. When the applause died down, the master of events started up again. Of course, we will be having lots of programming dedicated to meeting the young women of the selection, not to mention specials on their lives at the palace. We could not think of anyone more qualified to guide us through this exciting time than our very own Mr. Gavril Fadai. There was another smattering of applause, but it came from my mom and me this time. Gavril Fadai was a legend. Guys, I meant to say legend. Don't come for me. For something like 20 years, he'd done running commentary on Grateful Feast parades and Christmas shows and anything they celebrated at the palace. I'd never seen an interview with members of the royal family or their closest friends and family done by anyone but him. Oh, America, you could meet Gravel. Mom crooned, "He's coming," May said, flailing her little arms. Sure enough, there was Gravel. Sauntering onto the set in his crisp blue suit, he was maybe in his late 40s, and he always looked sharp. As he walked across the stage, the light caught on the pin on his lapel, a flash of gold that was similar to the fort signs in my piano music. "Good evening, Aaliyah," he sang. "I have to say that I am so honored to be a part of the selection. Lucky me, I get to meet 35 beautiful women. What idiot wouldn't want my job?" He winked at us through the camera. But before I get to meet these lovely ladies, one of which will be our new princess, I have the pleasure of speaking with the men of the hour, our Prince Maxon. With that, Maxon walked across the carpeted stage to a pair of chairs set up for him and Gravel. He straightened his tie and adjusted his suit as if he needed to look more polished. He shook Gravel's hand and sat across from him, picking up a microphone. The chair was high enough that Maxon propped his feet on a bar in the middle of the legs. He looked so much more casual that way. "Nice to see you again, Your Highness." "Thank you, Gravel. The pleasure is all mine." Maxon's voice was as poised as the rest of him. He radiated waves of formality. I wrinkled my nose at the idea of just being in the same room with him. "In less than a month, 35 women will be moving into your house. How do you feel about that?" Max Maxon laughed. Honestly, it is a bit nerve-wracking. I'm imagining there will be much more noise with so many guests. I'm looking forward to it all the same. Have you asked dear old dad for any advice on how he managed to get a hold of such a beautiful wife when it was his turn? Both Maxon and Gravel looked over to the king and queen, and the camera panned over to show them looking at each other. Smiling and holding hands, it seemed genuine, but how would we know any better? I haven't actually. As you know, the situation in New Asia has been escalating, and I have been working with him more on the military side of things. Not much time to discuss girls in there. Mom and May laughed. I suppose it was kind of funny. We don't have much time left, so I'd like to have one more question. What do you imagine your perfect girl would be like? Maxon looked taken aback. It was hard to tell, but he may have been blushing. Honestly, I don't know. I think that's the beauty of the selection. No two women who enter will be exactly the same, not in looks or preferences or disposition. And through the process of meeting them and talking to them, I'm hoping to discover what I want. To find it along the way, Maxon smiled. Thank you, Your Highness. That was very well said, and I think I speak for all of Aaliyah when I wish you the best of luck. Gravel held out his hand for another shake. Thank you, sir, Maxon said. The camera didn't cut away quick enough, and you could see him looking over to his parents, wondering if he'd said the right thing. The next shot zoomed in on Gravel's face, so there was no way to see what their response was. I'm afraid that's all the time we have for this evening. Thank you for watching the Aaliyah Capital Report, and we'll see you next week. With that, the music played and credits rolled. American Maxon sitting in a tree sang May. I grabbed a pillow and chucked it at her, but I couldn't help laughing at the thought. Maxon was so stiff and quiet, it was hard to imagine anyone being happy with such a wimp. I spent the rest of the night trying to ignore May's teasing and finally went to my room to be alone. Even the thought of being near Maxon Shreve made me uncomfortable. May's little jabs stayed in my head all night and made it difficult for me to sleep. It was hard to pinpoint the sound that woke me, but once I was aware of it, I tried to survey my room in absolute stillness, just in case someone was there. Tap, tap, tap. I turned over slowly to face my window, and there was Aspen grinning at me. I got out of bed and tiptoed to the door, shutting it all the way and locking it. I went back to the bed, unlocking and slowly opening my window. A rush of heat that had nothing to do with the summer swept over me as Aspen climbed through the window and onto my bed. What are you doing here? I whispered, smiling in the dark. I had to see you. He breathed into my cheek as he wrapped his arms around me, pulling me down until we were lying side by side on the bed. I have so much to tell you, Aspen. Shh, don't say a word. If anyone hears, there'll be hell to pay. Just let me look at you. And so I obeyed. I stayed there quiet and still while Aspen stared into my eyes. When he had his fill of that, he went to nuzzling his nose into my neck and hair. And then his hands were moving up and down the curve of my waist to my hip, over and over. I heard his breathing get heavy, and something about that drew me in. His lips hidden in my neck started kissing me. I drew in sharp breaths. I couldn't help it. Aspen's lips traveled up my chin and covered my mouth, effectively silencing my gasps. I wrapped myself around him, our rush grabbing and the humidity of the night covering us both in sweat. It was a stolen moment. Aspen's lips finally slowed, though I was nowhere near ready to stop. But we had to be smart. If we went any further and there was ever any evidence of it, we'd both be thrown in jail. Another reason everyone married young. Waiting is torture. I should go, he whispered. But I want you to stay. My lips were by his ears. I could smell his soap again. America singer, one day you will fall asleep in my